Hi, Holly. It's so great to have you here this morning. How are you?
I am good. Thank you. Thanks for having me, Tina.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love for you to just to take a moment and introduce yourself, who you are, who you serve, and what you offer.
Sure. So, Holly Fisher, and my business is Fisher Creative Marketing. I'm based in Asheville, North Carolina, but work with clients all over the globe, really. And I help folks clarify their marketing message and then build out the rest of their sales funnel. So we start with that really crystal clear marketing message, and then I use that to write their website copy, their emails, lead generators, all the other marketing materials that they might need so that they can generate more leads and get more sales.
Yes, you are a StoryBrand certified guide.
I am, yes. I got certified back in February 2018. So I'm in my fifth year as a guide, soon to be rolling into year number six.
Awesome. So tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about what made you get into a marketing business to begin with.
Yeah, well, it wasn't necessarily by plan. I actually started my career. I've been a writer for a very long time, but I was a newspaper reporter and editor for many years. That's what I had wanted to do since I was probably 12 or 13 years old. And so I got a journalism degree. I have a master's in mass communication. And so I was sort of in journalism for the long haul until the fall of 2008, which, if we think back, was not our best economic times. So I was actually laid off from my journalism job, and as were a zillion other people, right? So not just me. So not exactly the best time to be hunting for another job in newspapers. And my husband, we were in Charleston, South Carolina at the time, and my husband has his job, and our daughter was maybe about 9 months old. So we had a baby, and just wasn't a good time to like kind of pick up and move, right? So that's when I kind of got into doing public relations. I started doing some social media marketing because that was new at that time as well. Businesses were just starting to kind of go, what is Twitter? What is Facebook? Right? Things that are so common now, those were new at that point. And so I did a lot of that kind of work for another business in Charleston, and then decided in the fall of 2011 to start my own business, really just so I could kind of do all the things that I enjoyed doing, and worked mostly with Charleston companies at that time, a lot of nonprofit organizations, a lot of small businesses doing, again, public relations, social media marketing, or social media management, content creation, things like that. And then once I got certified as a StoryBrand guide, I really loved that work, just really focusing in on that particular kind of work and really helping businesses, get a clear marketing message, write their website copy. Really started to love that. And so it was probably about a 2-year process, really, of kind of shifting my business away from those other services and more to the StoryBrand kind of work. And then also opening up to work with businesses all over the place, right? So I wasn't just specific to Charleston any longer. I could work with businesses from anywhere. Yeah.
You've been a storyteller for a long time.
Yeah.
And that's great. You have huge credentials in communication and all that. So I understand why StoryBrand would attract you because
Yes.
just because it's marketing, it's still telling the
Mhm.
story and helping people build their businesses at the same time. So I can see how that road led you there. And it's very exciting. It sounds like you've done some niching on your services, maybe, and moved away
Yeah.
from things.
Mhm.
And are growing outside of South Carolina. So
Yeah.
tell me more about what made you brave enough to decide I'm not doing these things anymore, because that was a hard decision that I had to make with my business too.
Oh my gosh, that is so hard, right? Because you're basically saying no to income, right? And when you have your own business, that is really scary for somebody to be like, I want to pay you for something, and you to be like, no, I'm good. That's really tough. And so that was not something that I was able to do overnight at all. It was definitely has been a process. And even this year, I still had some clients that I had done some just kind of one-off like PR projects for, and I started kind of letting them go over the last year as well. Mostly this fall, kind of shedding a few more of those projects because it is really hard. It's people that I've worked with for a long time and I enjoyed working with. So that's always tough. And then again, it's just kind of, saying no to income. So it's really hard to do that. And I think it's a process, right? So I sort of didn't necessarily make myself do it all at once. It was more of like baby steps into that. And also just not offering that service anymore. So it was probably easier to just say, I'm not going to offer it any longer. So people didn't really know to ask for it. And then I could eventually kind of offload some of those other clients. And I have some great colleagues that do that kind of work. So I was able to just pass them off to people I know would take good care of them. So I, didn't have to just say, sorry, good luck. I could say, here are some people that can really help you. So that has definitely been a process of trying to
Yeah.
refine my business.
So, Holly, like three things sort of jump out to me there from your story in helping maybe other people niche some of their products or services. Because I felt like it was really scary when I decided we just do websites and the things that help website traffic. That was huge and scary. So, a couple of things. Number one, did it help you grow your revenue? You said you're saying no to revenue, but in the end, did it help grow or is it helping grow your revenue?
Yes, absolutely. It's funny because I did have a lot of these they were just small projects, and so they weren't particularly lucrative, but I just kept saying yes to them for all the reasons that we do, right? Like, I hate to tell people no, I hate to turn down money. And so I found though that every time I would say no to one of those, then it seemed like I would almost always get another project, right? That was more in line with what I wanted to do. That was obviously a lot, bigger, price tag than some of these other things I was doing. So when you finally kind of go, okay, I'm going to free up my, brain power for the things I really want to do, I feel like you do end up getting more of those projects. So it's good. It's good reinforcement.
Yeah, like
Okay, I'm on the right path.
right. And you have to, it's scary before you do it, then you have to try it, and then you get reinforcement after the event.
Mhm.
So you have to take a
Yes,
leap of faith, I think. Um,
absolutely.
so some of it you said, and we experienced the same thing. It was your clients that you love that were
Yes.
coming to you and saying, we love what you do. Obviously, Holly, for us, could you also do this thing? And you're saying yes to that. So, can you tell me, like, give me a little script or reenactment of what were the words that you used to help tell people no while keeping them as a client? Because part of that fear is a little bit like, well, I don't want to lose this person either because the relationship
Yeah.
is so great.
And some of them I did lose as clients because if they were just doing like PR services, if that was all they needed from me and I wasn't doing that anymore, then I was losing them as a client, which was okay. I had to be okay with that, right? And just go, it's fine. It wasn't anything that I did, wasn't anything they did. It was just a change in direction for me. So I would just then I would reach out to them and let them know, hey, some of it was starting in the new year, so some folks I just kind of said, hey, we're starting in this particular month or quarter or whatever. You can kind of pick almost a start date, kind of gives you something that feels a little more comfortable. So, starting in, 2023, I'm not going to be offering these services anymore. It's been awesome working with you. And here are a couple of people that can serve you really well. So I like being able to give them recommendations for people that can help them so they don't have to spend a lot of time like vetting other people. They can just jump right in, and then some of those referrals could reach out to me and say, oh, hey, could you send me the last couple of press releases you did or something like that. So it's almost a seamless transition for the client, which I felt like was really important because I wanted to make sure that people were well cared for.
Yeah, so that brings up a few things, which part of was my next question around partnerships. But you are telling me that you actually lost some clients. So not just revenue, but some of the relationships went somewhere else,
Yes.
and you liked them. You liked these people. So
Yes.
I think that is inspiring or encouraging for people to hear that that will happen and everything will be okay. That
Yes.
you might not be able to serve some people anymore and that everything will be okay even if you liked them.
Absolutely. Yeah, there was nobody that I was like, ugh, I just don't want to work with these people anymore. They were all great folks. And a lot of them I had worked with for years. And so, it is a little hard to be like, oh, sorry, I can't serve you anymore. But they're going to be well cared for. And I was opening up my schedule and my time to then take on more of the work that I wanted to do.
Mhm.
And it was honestly more lucrative.
Yes.
So if you're letting somebody go and let's say they paid you $1,000, but then you opened up your calendar and now you can take on a client that's paying you $5,000 or $6,000, that's a big difference.
Yeah. Same amount of time that you're spending, a lot more money in your bank account. So that can be really healthy for both people too, because maybe PR wasn't
Yes,
your specialty and they get someone who does have that as their specialty. So it can be a real win-win to let a relationship go.
it was. Yeah. And it was just some things, even like the social media management that I used to do in the PR. Like I really enjoyed that work at a season.
Mhm.
And then pretty soon it just got kind of to a point where I was like, yeah, I can do this, but I don't love it as much anymore. I'm not as passionate about it. I'm still doing all the work for the clients, right? But my heart just wasn't in it. So it's like, all right, I think that's also a good sign that's like, it's time to let this go. Like my heart is just not in this.
Yeah.
I need to put my efforts to the things that are really in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And some good encouragement for other people out there who are a little bit afraid of taking that first step of
Yeah.
discontinuing products or services and possibly losing money and losing people that they like and that they have good relationships with. But you brought up another thing, partnerships, because one of the things that made you feel better, it sounds like to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, it made you feel better about releasing that into the wild if you had a transition relationship that you could put them with that you knew would be good and care for them.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I have it's actually interesting. There were a couple of women in Charleston who did some work for me a few years ago. And then when I decided I don't want to do some of this work, they actually took some of the clients that I had and spun off their own businesses.
Mhm.
So we still keep in touch and we make referrals back and forth and all of that. So it's really easy then and one of them does a lot of PR, one of them does a lot of social media. She loves doing social media. So I can be like, here's someone who loves social media. That
Yeah.
is not me. And so it does give you a little bit of comfort if you have those relationships in the industry to where you feel like you can pass someone off and say, hey, this person is going to do a good job for you. Or at least you think they'll do a good job for them, right? And so it makes you feel a little bit better about passing people off.
Yeah, and I think there's a couple of things sort of balled up in that. I remember when I was first starting out that I didn't have those relationships, so I didn't have anyone to send people to. So that made it harder for me to let someone go because they would always ask for referrals, like, okay, if you don't do this, then who can we go to? And I'd be like, I don't know, Google it, that kind of thing. So that was really scary. And that was a big thing for me to build up my own marketing community where I could send people if I knew it wasn't something I wanted to do or something I wasn't great at doing or something we didn't specialize in. So
Mhm.
I think networking within your industry can be really huge because maybe you're not the right fit for that particular client, but it feels really a lot easier to let them go if there are good hands that you can put them in.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
Yeah. And then the second part of that, though, Holly, I have to say is the first time you do that, even like you make a recommendation because you built your brand and you do things a certain way and you take care of people a certain way, you don't know what that experience might end up being like when they go to the person for the first time or the second time, whoever you're sending to. And so I always carry a weight of that recommendation on my shoulders. And I think just talking through this and having experience with it, there's a little bit we have to let ourselves off the hook. And maybe we caveat that with some of the things that we say as we're doing the referral. But this is not my business, and they're going to do things differently than the way that I do them. I feel good about what they say their work is and what we've seen with other clients, but please vet them yourself, right? I don't know if you do
Yeah.
that, but tell me what you think about that.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea because yeah, you can't 100% guarantee that is going to work, that that person is going to work for that client. And sometimes it's just maybe even like a personality fit,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes, I mean, I'm sure you had clients like that too, where, maybe you just don't gel, exactly. Not anything wrong with either side, but we don't necessarily get along with 100% of the people that we work with, right? We hope
Right.
to, but not always. And
Right.
so it could be, yeah, you make a referral off to someone and they're like, it's just not the right fit for me. So yeah, I think that's great. It's just to remind them they obviously don't have to use this person.
Right.
But here's a suggestion for a couple of people, reach out to them, have a conversation, see if they're a good fit for you. They've done good work for my other clients. At least it gives people a starting point, right?
Yeah,
So
I
they can
love
at
that.
least have someone they can start with. If it feels like a great fit, awesome. If it doesn't, they can always look elsewhere.
Hey there, sorry to interrupt, but are you liking this content? Is it something that you're benefiting from? Are you learning something and growing a little bit from this content? If the answer to any of those questions is yes, do me a favor, hit that like button so the algorithm will send this out to more people just like you so that we can all build more profitable businesses and do more life together. Thanks for watching. And also always be listening because I want to protect my brand too. So if people come back to you and say this was a bad experience, and
Yes.
I always dig deeper into that when someone comes back and ask them a few questions because sometimes it's the person, right? Or the company,
Yes.
and you realize it wasn't a good fit, but sometimes they have valid things, feedback pieces that there are
Yeah.
reasons that maybe you shouldn't refer to that person or that company any longer. And it's always good to listen, I guess.
Yeah, I actually had that happen a couple of years ago where I had referred someone to someone else and then she came back to me and the person had been a little bit rude.
Mhm.
And I was like, wow, okay. Like I was not expecting that, but then I was like, I don't think I'm going to pass your name along to anyone
Right.
again. Because I was then embarrassed
Yeah.
because I had used this person previously. So it's fine. Other clients had used them.
Right.
And so then I was kind of embarrassed because I had passed along that name. Because you're right, you want to have, protect your brand and your reputation as well. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna take you off my list
Yeah.
of referrals. So I apologized. I was like, oh gosh, I'm sorry that happened. I don't think I'll be referring this person out again. So
Yeah, so there's just some comfort in knowing that does happen from time to time whenever you start building these relationships and partnerships.
mhm,
Sometimes you have to sort of turn away from that. And the way that you do that is first to be listening and then to always address that back to that client who's
yeah,
giving you the feedback and thank them for it. And let them
yes,
know that you are taking that into consideration when you make future referrals. So
mhm,
it just
absolutely.
helps close that loop and continue to protect your own brand. And then you can feel more confident that every experience is not going to work out and you have to just take that off of your shoulders. It's not up to you who people end up doing business with. You can
That's
just
right.
find a good community and if things are working, keep doing it. If it's not, you can walk away and do something
That's
different.
right. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Well, the other kind of things that I wanted to ask you, Holly, is because I see you on social media a lot and I love what you're doing. So I'm just curious about your own marketing for your marketing company, because I know that's something that I neglect so
Ah,
often.
yes.
And it's hard. It's hard when you're in it to like think about what's my message, who am I serving, what am I saying, and try to pull it all together. So I'm just curious, like marketing for your own business as a marketer, tell me what you're doing and how it's going.
I know it's so hard, right? It is so hard. And it is also hard to just devote that time to your own business, right? When you have client projects and work that needs to get done, it's hard to go, okay, I'm going to devote this time to marketing my business. So I know that's a challenge for a lot of us. So I've tried over the last probably about the last year and a half, 2 years to really kind of double down on that. I am definitely not perfect at it, but a couple of things I've done. One is that I hired a virtual assistant to help me with my own marketing, largely just to help keep me on track, keep me accountable for what I need to do. It's really easy to just, if you're only accountable to yourself, it can be kind of like, whatever. I didn't get to it. No one knows except me. But if someone else is like, I'm paying someone else to do these things, it's kind of gives you that extra little oomph, right, to get it done. And so I always tell her, I'm like, feel free to hound me about things. I need that. Like, that's fine. And so she does help me with getting social media planned, getting my emails together. And so I typically I do a lot of videos, short little kind of marketing minute, I call them. They're usually about 2-ish, maybe 3-minute marketing tips. And so I'll do that, or I'll try to do some other content, blog posts, things like that. And then she does a really great job of kind of chunking those up and turning those into different social media posts, putting those into MailChimp for my emails so that I can send emails out every week. That has been hugely helpful, just in helping keeping things on track, right? And being more consistent with everything, right? Which we know is key, right? In marketing, we can't just pop in and out every 6 months and think that people are going to hire us, right? We have to be there all the time. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. We have to be there all the time. And so that's been hugely helpful. And so I know, like, oh, okay, I've got to get her these videos. So I will record, 3, 4, 5 videos all at one time and try to batch some of that content, which helps. I'm in the process of working on a new website for myself, which it's basically been on my to-do list for probably like 8 or 9 months, but I'm finally making some progress on that. And part of that is because I'm like outsourcing a couple of things there. And so again, it's kind of like, okay, people are like expecting me to get this stuff done. I need to keep this project moving. So sometimes we have to like pay other people to do the things that we can literally do ourselves, but we just need that outside help. So that's been really helpful for me. And I'm trying to make even a few more improvements on that in 2023 to build on what I've already started doing. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, you know what's interesting, Holly, is one of the hardest things that I've found in marketing for my own business is it's hard to find someone that sounds like me to help.
Mhm. Yes.
So then you're like, but if it doesn't sound like me, then it's not me or it's not our culture or whatever. And I have been doing something similar to what you're talking about, batching, like I do one thing a week. It's one piece of
Mhm.
content that I'm producing, and then someone else takes my voice, my work
Yeah.
product, and they put it across all of these different mediums. So I'm only thinking about one thing, and then it's their responsibility to cut things
Mhm.
up or
Yep.
post them on the different platforms or put them into a blog article so that and send it out via email, right? So that they are using my voice, but I only had to do one thing and chop it up. And eventually, I'm going to even get that off my plate, probably. But it's been really freeing to do one thing versus
Yes.
like 15, trying to do 15 or thinking I've got to do 15. and I don't.
Mhm.
So
Yes, that's hugely helpful. Yes. And that way it helps that person. They still are, you like you said, capturing your voice because it's your video or your article or whatever you've created. And then that person can just splice it up, create the graphics, put it in the email, tweak it a little bit here and there, and then it's good to go, right?
yeah.
Because I'm a big believer in, like, if I've created something, we're going to use that to its fullest.
Oh, okay. So I love this because partially one of the things that I've done to help us grow a little bit more is to focus my efforts. Like, again, I'm saying I do this one thing and then other people expand on that. They make it better, they use it across platforms, they do different things. It's the same thing for me whenever I'm looking at ROI. When someone invests in a website and then they just like put the thing up there and nothing happens after that, it just, my heart shrivels a little bit. It just makes me so sad because I'm like, no, you spent so much money on this website and here are all these ways that you can make it work harder for you and give you a better ROI. So that is one of the things that I've been really focusing on this year is getting the maximum ROI out of every dollar that I'm putting into every marketing investment that I'm making for myself. So I love to hear that you're like, no, we gotta do this.
Mhm. Yeah, it's so important. And honestly, these are the things that I'm telling clients to do.
Yes.
So it's a little embarrassing, right? If I'm telling them, do as I say, not as I do, right? So it's like, I feel like, okay, I need to be practicing what I preach, right? If I'm telling people to send emails to their list once a week, I need to be sending emails to my list once a week.
Yeah.
Right. I need to be consistent on social media. I need to be creating lead generators and email campaigns and all the things that I'm telling other people to do. Because then, I'm not going to be as trustworthy as a marketing professional if I'm not doing the things that I'm telling other people are will work for them.
Yeah, I believe that. Plus, there's companies don't realize this. They've already got things that are working for them. Like you just talked about email once a week. Some
Mhm.
people have these huge email lists. Some of our clients that come to us, and I'm looking at these 50,000 people on their email list, and they don't email them. And I'm going, what? You have a captive audience and you're not using them. So sometimes I think we forget to look at the resources that we already have and start
Mhm.
capitalizing on that from a marketing perspective versus trying a new thing that TikTok is all the rage right now and everyone wants to do it. And I'm going, but you're not emailing your people once a week. What are you
Yes.
doing?
Yes, yes, 100%. Yeah, people can get really like excited about new marketing things. We have to do this and we have to do that. And it's like, let's just focus in on some tried and true things that like you said, you kind of already have. Let's just double down on that. And then once you master that, then maybe we can add TikTok if it makes sense or whatever.
Yeah, well, the other thing that it brings to mind, especially as you were talking about like emailing once a week and really taking advantage of the assets that you already have in place, is there's a statistic that I was reading the other day from one of the marketing studies about only 7% of people are ready to buy the moment that you're sending out at any given time, really. Only
Yeah.
7% of the people that are listening to you are ready to make a buy decision.
Wow.
So that
Yes.
leaves 93% of people that if you're not consistently getting out in front of, then they're going to find someone else because they don't remember you.
That's right.
Consistency is for the 93% that are not ready to buy, not for the 7% of people that are already on that doorstep. It's for the rest of the year that you're making deposits along the way for the 93% that when they're ready, when they become part of the 7%, you've built a relationship, you've made deposits, and now they remember you that you do this thing because you're talking to them about it all the time.
Yes, yes. I had a gentleman that I talked to probably a year and a half or 2 years ago, before I even relocated to North Carolina. And we had talked about doing some work together, and then he had decided to wait. But he was on my email list. And just a couple of months ago, responded to one of those emails and was like, hey, do you have time to chat? We talked about some things he wanted to do, and now we're going to do some work together. We've
Mm,
already started doing some work
yeah.
together. I'm like, would he have thought about me? Maybe, maybe not. But I was landing in his inbox every single week. And so I was top of mind,
Yeah.
right? I was top of mind. And so, you can't just, email people every 6 months, once a year at the holidays or something, and then expect them to to jump in. I loved what you said about you're making those little deposits along the way so that people are going, oh yeah, she's giving me marketing tips every week. She really knows what she's talking about. I need to get in touch with her.
Yeah.
And
Maybe
they may be ready now or 2 years later.
I know I've had so many that have ended up years later coming back. If they're on my list and they never unsubscribe, it means if someone's not unsubscribing from your list, by the way, it means that you are there for them. You're showing up, your name is making a difference in their inbox. And then one day you're going to be that choice because you're consistently showing up. So I just love that. I have this Mike McAllowitz profit is not an event, it's a habit. But I find that's so true about everything. It's not just profit, it's communication, it's relationship. These things are not events, one-time events or four
Yes,
times a year, once a quarter. They're habits. And when they are habits, then you get the return on the investment that you're making. So if we keep thinking about marketing and relationship building as investments, then we realize
yes.
that at some point it does come back to us because we're there. We're consistently there.
Yes, 100%. I love that. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it's an event. It's not an event, it's a habit. Yeah, that's
Well, Holly, this has been great. So I'm going to ask you for two things. But first, I want to sort of summarize a little bit of what we talked about. And one was in marketing yourself and in growing your own business, you niched down some of the products and services that you were offering to things that you loved, so compelling for you, but also that were profitable for your business. And a couple of ways you did that was build some partnerships that you could count on. You learned to tell clients no, and it wasn't necessarily saying no to money because it opened up to a lot more profitable kind of business. And it's okay to lose some client relationships, even if you love the people, if it's not what you love doing. So, just an
yes.
encouragement to everyone out there that you can grow by saying no. It's
I
okay.
know.
And things can look scary, and they even will maybe feel that way for a little bit, but it opens up to so many other possibilities for growing really profitable business.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and I was really able to hone in on also the things that I could just do really well. It's like, here's where I can really help people. And so that feels really good. And then that's going to attract more of those clients that you want.
So you love it and you do it well. So you are
Mhm.
the expert, which helps you to go a lot deeper into that, which is great.
Yes.
But two things before we hop off. One is if you wanted to share any last words or encouragement for business owners as we walk into 2023. And second is how do people find you if they want to work with you?
Sure. Yeah. I think just the encouragement would be to look at what you're offering and go, are there some things that I really don't love that aren't that profitable? And I will say I do run those numbers in QuickBooks. That's one thing that I will look at by like client or by project type and look and see like how much money did I make on this kind of work? How much money did I make on this kind of work? And there's some pretty big gaps there. And so it's like, okay, that's not just me going, I don't necessarily love this work anymore. This is also like the numbers showing me I didn't make that much off of that work this year. So I need to focus on the things that were more profitable for me. So not being afraid to do that and giving yourself a little time. You don't have to just do it overnight, right? You just don't have to wake up one day and go, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm telling all these people no. I mean, it has taken me some time to slowly kind of migrate in that direction. So I think giving yourself a little time and space to do that is really good and really helpful. And
Yes,
then, oh,
great.
go ahead.
just want to highlight there, those are a couple of KPIs you're bringing out for marketing people and for small businesses everywhere, though. Like, track in your accounting software, and you can hire someone to help you do this, but
Can.
by client, like, is this client profitable? And by the type of work that you're doing, is this type of work profitable? And it's really helpful in assessing what you do best, what you love, and what brings you profit. So
Yeah,
just wanted to throw
absolutely.
that out there. You were highlighting a good KPI. So
Yeah, yeah, that's good. That's one of the numbers that I will look at. And then most people can really just find me on my website, which is Fisher, FISHER dash creative.com. A new version coming hopefully in January. But that's where you can find links to social media. I'm Fisher Creative Marketing on most of the social media, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all the places.
awesome. Well, Holly, this was so great. I'm so happy to talk to you. I'm sure we will do this again, unless you tell me, oh, I hated it. But I
Oh,
would
this was
love
awesome. This
to
is fun.
do it again. All right. And
No, this is
such
great.
great advice for everyone too about choosing products and services that you love, that bring you profit, and that you really work well at providing value for, and tracking those numbers in your accounting software. And again, you can find Holly at fisher-creative.com and see hopefully a new website coming soon, which is very exciting. All
Awesome. Well,
right.
thank you.
Thanks, Holly. It's so great to chat with you.
Yeah, you too, Tina. Thank you.
All right. Oh my gosh, you reached the end. Congratulations and thanks for watching. One quick question before you go. Did you find this interesting? Do you think someone else that you know could benefit from the information you heard here today? Well, do me a favor, hit the like button and subscribe, and hit that bell so you can get notifications for when more of this information comes out. By hitting like, it means that this content goes out to other people just like you who might also be able to benefit from this information and can build a more profitable business so they can do more life. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.